Hey everybody, welcome back. This is just going to be a short video. I'm going to review, I spent the last 2 weekends actually, but one full weekend this last weekend taking Jason Haddox's The Bug Bounty Hunter Methodology Live course. It was given over Discord. There was two separate weeks you could attend. You could attend one or both. The content was the same over both. I just wanted to get on here. I know there was a lot of people who either didn't go that wanted to go or that were unsure about whether or not they should go. And I just kind of want to give my thoughts on what I got out of it, what I heard kind of other people seem to get out of it, what the experience was like. Obviously, there's not going to be any content of the course given out about it, out of, mad respect for Jason and everything, but it's going to be a video. I just want to make a short video talking about my experience in it and what I think you can get out of it, and if I think it might be for you and that kind of thing. So first of all, like I said, it's a 2-day course. It's live on Discord. So you're in there with a bunch of other people. It's like 2 8-hour days. And I think my main session, again, he did it over 2 weekends and you can kind of join either one, but the content was the same. He has already said he's going to run it again. I'm not sure if it'll be a 2-weekend run or a 1-weekend run. I'm not really sure. But my weekend, I think, had like 100 people in it, I think, at a time. Somewhere around there, like give or take, as people like drop on, drop off during the training, whatever. But he was on, camera on, slides on for 8 or 9 hours for the 2 days. And there was about 100 people in there. So there's a chat and all that kind of stuff. So it's kind of interactive. And the first thing that I really want to mention, which is why I kind of want to talk about the format of the course first, is that there was some really interesting stuff. So the first thing was, for my weekend, Ben Naham Sek, came on and talked about some techniques that he uses and stuff like that, and basically came on as like a guest speaker, but out of either pure luck or happenstance, or maybe they were invited, I'm not really sure, but there was a lot of people who were actually the creators of some of the tools that they went over, or some of the methodologies that they went over and that kind of thing that were there. For instance, like XNL Link Finder came up and way more came up and stuff like that. And XNL Hacker was actually in there talking about some of the tools that were there, and was like taking the class with everyone and was answering questions. And we actually, funny enough, actually found a bug in the Gap tool and pretty much fixed it live. Kind of, he fixed it live during the class, and then got it working again for us. So that was a really cool experience. But the point I'm trying to make is that he was bringing on speakers, talking about tools, talking about their techniques and what it may be. And it sounds like in future iterations of the course, he may do that even more, and try and invite some people that are either like well known in the bug bounty community or that made the tools and that kind of stuff to come kind of give their opinion on it, which I think is really, really, really cool. That was a cool thing. So the next thing I want to talk about is he has a bug bounty hunter methodology talk that he's given, and there's recordings of it everywhere. There's about 4 or 5 different versions of it, and then it kind of split off into the recon side and the app analysis side. And obviously, it would make sense that that's what the 2 days are split into. So it's not just recon, it's not just hands-on hacking. There's both. It does follow a very similar structure of, like, if you're a manual hacker, this is probably what you could do. If you're not a manual hacker, or you aren't, or just interested in automation, here's some tools that you can maybe run to automate it that he's found or that he uses, that kind of thing, right? So there's recon and app analysis in it, and there's automation and manual in it. So he really tries to cover the bases for everybody, and I think everything was pretty well done, because I think there was a room full of some people that were interested in like diving really deep, and I think there was some people in the room that were interested in automating everything and hacking the planet automatically, right? And I think he covered both for everything. I feel like he covered both for everything, and I think that was really cool. The other thing that I'm going to mention about the course is that it's like very slide heavy. So there's not a whole bunch of labs. There's a few like live demos, and like you can obviously use the tools with him and use them as he's talking about them, that kind of stuff. But there, at least for this time around, I think there was maybe a conversation about bringing labs to future iterations of the course, but this time around it wasn't very lab heavy, and he was very open about that right away. But I actually think that the lack of workshops and the lack of labs, even though that could benefit you, obviously, it would, not saying that labs wouldn't be beneficial, but because there wasn't a lab after every single topic, like, okay, we're going to learn about a topic, then do a workshop, then do a topic, then do a lab, you were able to cover so many more things, and it's not like he was flying through them. I mean, if there were questions, you go back and you stick on a topic for too, a little bit longer than another one, and whatever kind of naturally occurred. But I think my take on it is you didn't just do a simple lab, you didn't just do a simple workshop to prove a point or to show something. Like when there was live demos, it was on live targets, and the lack of like actual just like structured labs actually seemed to give way for more content. So you got more content as far as like techniques and tools and learning because you didn't sit in a lab for like 6 of the 8 hours, right? So I liked that, but if you're someone who is like, unless there's like a big, like range and we're hacking labs the whole time, the course isn't for you, then I guess full disclosure that the course may not be for you if you're a lab heavy person. But caveat is that may change. So that's something that you should be aware of. If you're just trying to get the most content from Jason as possible, then the format's perfect for you. Because again, I think the amount of content that was given in 2 days' time was so worth the money. It was insane. There were some pretty high up people in the class. High up as in like high up on leaderboards on different bug bounty platforms, of all different kinds of bug bounty platforms that all seemed to get value out of it, that all were involved in the conversation. So there were classmates of mine that, were mentioning that they were maybe in the beginning of their bug bounty journey, and there were definitely classmates of mine that I would say are quite a bit further along than I am, and quite a bit further along than a lot of other people are too. So there was really good conversation, and everyone seemed to give and get different value because there was so much content. So since there were no labs, maybe some of the content really worked for some people and it really like stuck, and others it didn't so much. But that's fine, because if the content didn't work for you for the first hour or so, the next topic and the next topics after that throughout the day, something probably clicked. Like I said, I can be honest. There was some topics that like I've heard of, and there was not that much new stuff for me. Maybe there was like an interesting tidbit or here or there, and then all of a sudden we'd get in the weeds on another topic and start going down the rabbit hole. And there's stuff I've never heard of before. Not saying I'm like an expert, so it's surprising I've never heard of anything. But there's just like you all of a sudden you're just taking notes like crazy and all this stuff, and it's all stuff you've never heard before, and you're grabbing every link you can get your hands on and screenshotting everything, and then maybe go back into stuff you've heard before. So I had notes taking the whole time, and there were some parts where I didn't take that many notes because I kind of already knew like that, maybe that section or whatever. And then all of a sudden I couldn't keep up, and I'm taking screenshots and capturing links and bookmarking things and like writing down notes on a post-it note too that's separate from my notes of like, ooh, follow up, like test this thing or do this thing or make sure to check out this thing. Um, you know, there's a an example. Again, I'm not going to give away any content to the course out of respect, but um there's a point during the course where he's going over methodology and he brings up a white paper. um it's like a 200-page white paper on methodology on how to do a certain thing, and it's super old. It's from like 2015, which in cybersecurity shit gets dated fast, right? But like I really want to read the whole thing because like I have been asking myself personally, like that I really wish there was stuff out there that people wrote like official academic work on how to hack, right? Like that's something that doesn't really exist. It's all like blog posts and hacking reports and stuff. Turns out there are actually some white papers out there on how people just hack. And this was one of them. So it was interesting. And again, that was during something where I was like feverishly taking notes, like all this stuff on a topic that maybe I didn't think I really would be, that I didn't think I would get much value out of, that I really did. So that's also kind of a thing, again, that kind of compounds on the lack of labs. Is there's so much content, like there's no way you don't get value. Like I said, there were some high profile bug bounty people there that seem to get great value. Some high profile security folks there that seem to get great value. So I think for what it's worth, there's such a low chance that you don't get way more than the money's worth of value from it, that if you can spare the money, I would really recommend you take it. Now, to end, and I'm putting it at the end since, if someone stuck around this long, maybe they do want to think if I have any critiques, right? If you've hung around for however long, almost 10 minutes here, then maybe you do want to hear if I have some critiques. So I have one. And my one critique of the course that maybe will change in the future, I don't know, because this was the first round of it. The one critique that I would maybe like to change in the future is it would be really, really interesting if there was some kind of compare and contrast, if that makes sense. So a lot of the methodology is like doing things better, right? Like taking it that extra step. Like maybe people do X for this thing and you can do like X plus Y and really like either broaden your scope in the term of recon or hunt a certain type of bug better or like have a better, intuition of where to find bugs, right? Like it's, the whole point is to how to do things better. And it would be interesting because I feel like there's a lot of spots where comparison would be cool. So like a really like just straightforward example would be recon, right? Is like I ran a mass or subfinder, just like a random like off the shelf tool with no API keys. Like I just downloaded the GitHub repo and I ran it. And this is how many subdomains I have for this target. Now, at the end of the recon day, let's see how many subdomains we end up with for this target, right? Like that would be a really cool thing, I think, to see of like this might be where you were at with your recon game or, whatever technique it was or whatever it may be. And like this is where you could be at the end type of a thing if you just like do what's being told. So that's something that I think would be really interesting that I think there's a chance to like to throw in. Um but really that's it. Other than that, I really enjoyed the course. I think the really cool thing that has come out of the course too is the Discord stays open. So all the students that I took the course with are still talking. Some have hopped into a voice chat and hack together. People are trying to use what they've learned at the course to, try and go after targets and get bounties and that kind of stuff. And it seems like there's maybe a little bit of relationships being formed and some friendships being, formed and that kind of thing. So that's super cool to see. Um, you know, people growing in the community and who knows, like maybe the next best thing is sitting in the course and this is their takeoff. But I'm gonna keep the video short. I'm gonna stop it here again. If you're looking for a course that really is just like the full buckshot of everything bug bounty hunter methodology, I mean it's the perfect course for you, and especially for what corporate training costs. I've taken corporate training on web application hacking and recon and like all this other stuff, especially because of the price point. This competes so much for all these corporate trainings that are ridiculously expensive. You could do this and I guarantee you like 99.999% of it's got like, I'm sure there's some corporate training out there that's got some niche secret ninja foo stuff on like how to do something, and that's great. And I know some of the corporate training gets like really specific on like really certain bypassing or like the ridiculous binary exploitation. That's fine. But as far as like web app hacking and like stuff for bug bounties, if you're a web app hacker, which is what this is like advertised to you, I mean, for the money, it's ridiculous. The value is ridiculous. It is what it is, and I have huge respect for Jason for putting it on. Huge respect for him as a bug bounty hunter, obviously too. Being that it's the bug bounty hunter's methodology, but the course is well put on. Like putting that amount of time into it, like the look, the feel of the course, the time in general, just to teach and stuff like that. Big respect. So I know he has already said he's doing another one when it comes out. If you missed the first one, I would 100% try and find a way to be at the next one. But that's all I got, guys. Give Jason some props on Twitter, social media, all the different platforms that exist nowadays. But other than that, I'm going to go to bed because it's late as heck here. So see you guys later.